We're finally about to get an update to the way that equipment loadouts work in Rise of Kingdoms, but I will make the argument that this actually needs to go a step further and be almost like an account-wide loadout. In this video, I'm going to go over a bunch of things that are coming in the update on the 16th. Stick around for all the things you need to know. Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and I am definitely hyped to see the developers looking at the way that equipment is put onto commanders in Rise of Kingdoms, because you've experienced this today where you're trying to make a loadout, but it ruins the loadout for another commander because you moved a piece around, and it certainly feels a little bit clunky when you try to move your gear around. I'm hoping this new system that you can see on the screen will start to address it, where it looks like now you have loadouts that are not centered around individual commanders, but are just generic loadouts that you can create. So you might make, for example, your infantry anti-swarm garrison, or your infantry rally, or your infantry open field, or your infantry canyon lineup. Whatever those things are, you can make individual equipment sets and then equip them to commanders. So I would assume that it won't erase existing equipment sets like it does today, and instead it will just move the gear from one commander to another. And this, of course, is a big win. However, I will make you the argument that we need much more. And let me point out that I think they have the sort of color up here associated with this preset. I am hopeful that we get more than 10 presets, because like 10 loadouts is not enough. I assume this is the yellow 10, and that there would be a red 10 and a blue 10 worth of loadouts that we get, just as we see with like open field marches, and also for inscriptions, which brings me to my point, which is that what we really need is to be able to push a button and have it change all of the equipment on a bunch of commanders and the armaments all at the same time, so that I can go from switch to canyon setup, and it changes around everything for canyon, switch to city defense setup, and it moves things around from my open field and sets up my city defense. I can go switch to open field, and it does all my commanders, right, that I'm using in the open field, switches them around. I can do Ark of Osiris, and boom, it switches all the commanders. That way, like today, if I'm in KVK, if I want to move my gear around, I got to take the gear off, I got to put the gear set on, I got to move the armaments from one place to another. Thankfully, we have presets for that now. But it's a lot of clicks, and it's very tedious. And when you're in KVK, it's like, man, we got to be moving here. We got stuff to do. We got places to be, right? And so every time, you go to play Ark or do any of these things in game, you got to spend like 5 or 10 minutes switching things around. Speaking of which, I got to go put my gear back on my Canyon team before I drop a ton of rank, which has probably already happened. Speaking of Ark, we actually just battled against 60 GT, and like you would expect we would lose, but we did way better than I kind of anticipated. Like, this is a pretty solid score. And I mean, not to pat myself on the back, but it was a pretty good game for me. All right, MVP, let's go. So number 1 for the Alliance, MVP for the game. Not so bad. To get back to the topic at hand, there are a bunch of other things in the update that's coming as well. For example, they recently made it better to sort for combat stats, but removed the ability to search for gold gathering, which is the only filter I was actually using for the most part. They removed like a bunch of barbarian stuff, so they've added that back in. So armament filtering is now, I think, in a really great spot where you can actually find the things you're looking for, including the non-combat stuff, which, hey, look, like you should be searching for what your highest gold gathering is and smash that onto all of your gathering marches. In addition, hallelujah, praise be, I'm not religious, but I might become religious over this one amazing change, which is that they're making it so that you can't put forts right on top of each other. So the base of a fort cannot be overlapped by the territory of another fort. So you've got that fort up top, and they're trying to build this other fort, and the territory of the fort they're trying to build covers the base of the original fort. You can't do that. It's going to make it slightly better to fight against forts in KVK, which I think is a great thing. I can't believe that the fort meta has gone on for as long as it has, and I've covered this extensively in another video, but I am so happy to see this start to get looked at. Card will be in the end screen or up top if you want to see the more detailed video about this important change. In addition, we've got some holiday events around the corner here, including an event that has a premium currency and a secondary currency. So you are going to be able to exchange in a shop. This means we're not going to see a 7K gem event, GG. However, we do have a city theme here, and the city theme is pretty solid. It's giving you 5% cavalry defense at the cost of infantry attack. Losing attack is the best you can hope for, and gaining defense is second only to health. So this is pretty good if you were a newer player to the game. Plus, it looks pretty cool. This is like a little animation of a dragon twirling around. So pretty cool. Other events. Actually, a couple of the things you can trade for. First of all, you can trade for little brushes, but these seem so insanely expensive just to transmog. I don't know why I would ever do it. And then over here, you've got a accessory that's being added to the blueprint choice chest for future blueprint choice chests. Kind of tragic because I have like 8 of these sitting around doing literally nothing because I don't need the Silent Trials, Elaine's Amulet, or the Peter Sickle. But the Bard's Pendant is actually super legit, and it's been in-game for like 3 years, but unobtainable. I don't know if the developers only just realized, like, hey, wait a minute, we have this thing. Nobody's making it. Why is nobody? Oh, you can't get it. It's not actually obtainable. But anyways, let me show you Bard's Pendant. This thing has been in game forever. And hey, for gathering, it's a good pickup. So the Bard's Pendant gives you 5% extra resources from gathering, which is pretty sweet. And it's been in game for literally like 3 years, but has been true, like actually unobtainium. It's unobtainable. There was like no way to get it. It said it came from Lost Kingdom stuff, but you couldn't, like you can't actually. Oh, in season 1. Wait, it's only in season 1? Wow. Well, maybe there is a way to get it. And I just didn't know because when it was added, I was no longer in season 1. I swear, I don't think it said season 1 before. I don't think it said that. Anyways, it's going to the choice chests, which is nice, although it's not going to, I think, be added to the choice chests you already have. I have 9 of them. I love if they included that in there, but you'll have to get new ones if you want that thing. So, and I do think, obviously, for gathering, it's really good. When we talk about what the best gathering gear looks like, I certainly don't have perfect stuff, and I probably could stand to move around a few pieces here. But if we go to the march that I send to the pit, all right, this is pretty legit. Talents on all these things. This is, without getting into legendaries, pretty much the best you can do. And now adding a Bard's Pendant over here will be a nice pickup for 5% extra resources, which is really good. The one thing I'll caution you about if you're making any gathering equipment is just be really careful to not actually use any of your pick one materials when you go to do this. You know that a bunch of people are going to go make their Bard's Pendants and not realize that they're using pick one crates to go and do that. Do not use materials that could have gone to combat troops onto gathering equipment. That is absolute nonsense, but I'm telling you, people are going to mess that up. Other events that are going to be here includes the Lucky Red Packets, where if you click faster than other people in your Alliance chat, you can get some rewards, and sometimes you're lucky and sometimes you're less lucky. You can get a total of 300 of these packets, which is pretty wild. I think that very few people will get anywhere near that amount. And there's also going to be the Alliance Quiz. Nice way to get a few gold heads as an Alliance, like, yeah, to get people to show up, and you put 150 gold heads in your Alliance if everybody is there. Like, that's pretty legit. Plus there's gems, plus there's speed ups, and that's for several days. And then Protect the Supplies will be here. And you can see you can get the premium currency and the non-premium currency to go and get stuff from the shop. Looks like 30 of the premium currency, which is pretty legit. And we've got Tempest Clash, which I really would love Sea Battles to be a cool part of Rise of Kingdoms, and Tempest Clash is a neat little mini game, but I was kind of hoping it would be more core to certain aspects of the combat. I actually don't know how I would design that, but Tempest Clash, it's coming back. In addition, if you like looking around the map like a puzzle, good news, Treasure Hunt is also on its way, and Bankrupt the Boutique, which generally speaking, there aren't many things in here that I'm overly hyped for in Bankrupt the Boutique. I will simply point out that, like, you buy something and it discounts something else in the row. So just be smart about how you're approaching the sort of rows, and every now and then you can meaningfully discount some speed ups and save, like, 100 gems here, 100 gems there, but you're still spending gems. Those gems are being spent in the courier station, not in an event that just like gives you disproportionate rewards like Holy Knight's Treasure. So just be smart with your gems. Bankrupt the Boutique, Probably cool for whales, but if you're a very low spender, like, yeah, just like get a resource discount on a few things and leave it at that. Now, this next change is somewhat controversial, and I don't know that I want to get into all the details now, but some number of people were really upset that there's now a limitation where instead of having access to all 6 starting zones, there's only 3 starting zones moving forward. And this to me is actually maybe a little bit alarming. Like, I don't know if this is because the velocity of new players coming to the game has slowed to the point where they feel like people are spread out across too many provinces, or if I'm to believe all the people who are sending me messages of extreme distress, they're just super worried that it's going to be like a total war zone at the start and unfun. And like, I don't know. I think concentrating communities, like, yeah, it was inevitable you were going to have to meet. It's just a question of when and where. So I don't know how that's going to go. Is this change good? Is this change bad? I actually don't have a strong opinion on this one because I have no intention of going back to the early game pretty much ever. I just don't have time for it. Like, literally at least twice a week, I get an invitation to a jumper group, and I'm just like, hey, thanks for the invitation. I literally don't have time. And that's always my answer, and it will always be my answer, quite frankly, just because, like, bro, creating a new account in this game, especially if it's going to be super free to play, which, like, yeah, I don't need another account to spend on. I have 2, and that's, like, plenty. Okay. But, you know, if you're going free to play, like, you need to be super active. I don't have time for a 3rd account to be super active. So anyways, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments on this particular change where they're limiting the starting zones. That includes where you can go with a beginner's teleport, and also I think where people can start. Overall, I think I am looking forward to this patch, although I do hope the developers seriously consider like an account-wide loadout. The word loadout is close. These are more like presets than a loadout. A loadout would be like, well, I don't know. It's just a loadout not at the scale that I want, actually. I want a loadout where I say, gimme my canyon team, and all 5 of my canyon marches get geared up, armament set, boom, we're ready to go. That's what I want, baby. Am I alone? Let me know down below in the comments. If you enjoyed the vid, throw a like on here, consider subscribing, and until next time, you have fun. Smash in the Kingdom. Check out that card in the end screen about forts if you want to see more details about that.